Well, folks, it finally happened. The karma of being the Antichrist and entering the most Catholic country in the world finally caught up to me. I got hit by a car, so welcome. Yes, if you didn't catch that, I am the Antichrist, I am Satan's favorite daughter, and I love traveling. This is my hobby channel. I usually talk about physical media over here, but I've been doing an awful lot of traveling recently, and so I've been posting a lot of travel content too. My main channel is Haunted Hippie. That's where I talk about horror movies, but I also post weekly over here. If any of that interests you, then check it out. Click subscribe, click the like button, the notification bell, that way you never miss the next video. Obviously today is a travel video for you. I'm gonna be talking about what I consider to be the biggest hidden gem of northern Italy. Torino, or Turin. My sister is currently living there, and so I had the opportunity to spend a few weeks in the city, and I'm gonna get into all of that. I'll show you a lot of really gorgeous B-roll, I'll tell you all the stories. But before that, I do briefly want to touch on Palermo because we spent 4 nights there. Palermo is in Sicily, in southern Italy, because I didn't end up shooting a vlog of Palermo. I went there intending to because I shot vlogs of all the major cities that I stayed in, but I didn't for many, many reasons. The main reason is just that I did not have a good time there. That is in fact where I got hit by the car. We were staying in a really rough area. Our Airbnb was just wasn't in a safe spot, so we didn't even get to really enjoy any of the nightlife and stuff because it just wasn't really safe for us to walk home at night. We were staying in the neighborhood by the market, which is amazing during the day. The neighborhood is so cool. It's poppin', all the food is awesome. But then at nighttime, it's mayhem. There was one night where people were literally just like yelling in the streets until about 1 a.m. and I think some Italian woman like screamed down from her apartment. She really took one for the team there. It was a rough area. From the moment that we got to the city and we were walking up to our Airbnb, there aren't really real sidewalks because the streets are super, super narrow. There's just these little, they're almost like curbs that are up against the buildings, and there was a car coming up really, really fast. And so I tried to just like jump up because they were not slowing down. And that's probably just the culture. I'm not blaming them. I'm just not quick on my feet like that. I don't live there. But I slipped off the ledge because like I jumped up too quickly and I was bracing for my foot to literally get run over. Praise Satan. That did not happen, but my arm did get clipped by the side mirror. I wish that I took a picture of the bruise when it like blossomed. I only took a picture immediately after and it looks like nothing. Because it kind of was nothing. It's not like I fractured my arm or anything, but I got hit by a car. And the driver literally just stopped and like shrugged and then just kept driving. Like I think they just were making sure that they didn't run over my foot, that I wasn't like dying, and then they just left. I also thought it was going to be so cool to get footage of the catacombs there, but it turns out that you weren't allowed to shoot there. It was really cool. Like luckily I took some pictures of the postcards they have there because there's just no information online. And also when we were in there was no info about getting a tour. There were no plaques. There was no information anywhere. I thought it would be a little bit more like going into a cavern. I thought most of the caskets would be closed, but you walk down there and nobody prepares you for the fact that you're about to be looking at 200 mummies. Most of them have a good amount of skin still on their bodies. So that was really jarring, and then there was just no information anywhere. The tourism in Palermo, I just wasn't really a fan of. We had a really great walking tour, and it was like a free walking tour of the city, but you look up, oh, there's this castle down by the harbor, let's go look. You get there and it's just completely abandoned, and there's no information anywhere. There's nobody there. A lot of these gorgeous, like 1,000-year-old buildings are starting to crumble, like they're going into ruin because there's no upkeep. It just was sad. It just was kind of like a bummer place to be. The only reason that I would go back, the beach was okay. The beach was all right. There wasn't really anything cool in the area though. The beach was fine and the food was delicious. The Sicilian cheeses that I tried, like I literally would go back just for the food. But I also just wasn't feeling good at that time. I was dealing with this issue with an infection that I had. There were a lot of reasons why I wasn't feeling good, and it's not all Palermo's fault, but I just really wasn't having a good time there. I was feeling really, really homesick and just not doing well. So I didn't end up shooting a vlog there because I just was like, I can't deal with this right now. Just wanted to get that out of the way because I did post some pictures from Palermo, so if anybody was curious or was thinking about going to Palermo, stay in a nicer area of town. That is my best advice, and I think that you'll have a much better time than I did. Let's just move on. Let's get on to what this video is really about and talk about Turin. But before I get into that, let me show you some beautiful, beautiful footage. Let's get into it. That footage was actually mostly shot in Finale Ligure. I think that's what the city is called, or that's what like the region is called on the coast there. If you have access to a car, if you're renting a car when you're going to be in Italy, that's one of the best pieces of advice that I have for you if you're staying in Turin. It is absolutely worth the 2-hour drive to get out to that coast, especially if you're a climber. I don't really know what you do when you travel. It was a little bit suspect, first trying to get up and then trying to get down to the climbing location. It was very hairy. I also tried to borrow climbing shoes that were way too small. It was so painful, so I had to wear my regular trainers to try to climb a mountain, and I actually did make it to the top, but yeah, that wasn't good. I only ended up doing one route because a lot of it was just above my skill level, but so gorgeous. And then we went down to the beach and we just had a little party. We took a dip in the ocean because we were all nasty and sweaty, and we just kind of wanted to like clean off before our 2-hour drive back. We had some delicious Italian beers on the beach because you're allowed to drink publicly there. Ugh, amazing. The American mind can hardly comprehend that, you know what I mean? We also were observing these German men on vacation, and they ended up burying their friend in the sand. It was so funny, like we were just cracking up at them because he was in that hole forever. Later on, somehow, because we went and like used some restrooms, like we got changed and stuff. Later on, we were walking down the street in this little town, and they happened to be walking next to us, and they were sending out this video, airdropping it to people, and so Pia accepted, my sister, and it was better than anything I could have ever dreamed of. Like, that was just a moment where all the stars aligned cosmically. I felt so connected with the world. I was like, what are the odds? Like, we literally saw them putting that guy in that hole. And then later on, hours later, we're walking down the street and they airdrop us the video. Now, I do feel a little bit fraudulent because I still haven't really showed you any clips of Turin itself. But that was just the biggest highlight of the trip to Turin, and I didn't end up getting most of my footage from Turin until after that. So let's get to that, shall we? And then I will tell you the tales of Turin. First things first, let's head to that cinema museum. Yes! Obviously, as a graduated film student and a huge film nerd, the cinema museum, it was amazing. It was super, super crowded though, so I would recommend honestly maybe going on a weekend. I went on a weekday and school was still in session, so there were a lot of groups of teenagers, and that wasn't great. I was just trying to like chill out in this little sort of like cafe area. There are a lot of sets that they have that you can walk through, as you probably saw the footage of, and so I just was enjoying one that was kind of decorated like a little cafe. I was eating a little snack, and then all these teenagers came in and like totally shoved me out, were being really obnoxious. I guess teenagers are the same in every country, so great. So if you are not into crowds like that, if you're not the biggest fan of, you know, the ruckus of teenagers, then maybe go on a weekend. I know that it sounds counterintuitive, but when the school groups are in there, it's just really hectic. Totally worth it though. Like I learned so much history about the origins of cinema that I never even learned in film school. Beyond that, I think that the other thing that I most highly recommend, the thing that I most highly recommend to everyone in general, because I know that not everyone is super into film, is hiking up to the top of this hill. I forget what, I think it's a church up there. I forget what it's called. Oh no, there's a museum up there. I'll put it on screen. I am always forgetting. Just forgetting everything, forgetting all the names of things. But the view of Turin from that lookout, it's unreal. It looked like a painting. It looked fake. It honestly reminded me a little bit of home. It kind of looked like the valley near LA. It looked like Simi Valley with the mountain backdrop. A lot prettier than Simi Valley, I would have to say. There's also this great park, and I wish that I took more footage there, but I didn't. That's where, as I understand it, like all the young adults of the city go hang out. There's a ton of students there. That's where we hung out for a couple of days. There's often music. There is this really cool like outdoor bar where students do their work. It's a huge park. I think that there were some botanical gardens there that we just didn't have time to get to. There were drum circles both times we went to that park, so I think that that goes on pretty often. There were so many things to do, so many kind of young adult student driven activities in the city, so many museums that I didn't get a chance to go to. I really wanted to go to the Egyptian Museum, but I spent so many hours in the cinema museum that I was like, okay, I'll just do one museum today. I know that the climbing gym that my sister belongs to, they would even have like DJ dance event nights. Turin is just such a cool city, and the best part about it, you know the best part about it? No tourists. No, I didn't see a single one. It's just people living their lives. I'm sure that there is a decent amount of tourism, but I didn't really hear many other languages when I was in the cinema museum, for example. There just were a lot of Italian kids around me. Like the museum seemed really reserved for like actual education for children, which is super cool because in a lot of places that you go, you're just packed in there with a bunch of other sweaty white people. Turin is so special because it's just a really nice, authentic Italian city. Weather was great, if a little bit humid. Sometimes it would just start randomly dumping rain, but it never got too cold, so I never minded that too much. I had a good rain jacket. There are gorgeous views all over the place. There's the gorgeous river. I just really loved Turin. I do see myself going back someday. Now, I did have a lot of friends to hang out with there, and that definitely makes the experience a lot different when you're just chilling with a bunch of locals. Way more fun that way. But regardless, I can highly recommend the city, and I don't have any other crazy stories. Didn't get hit by any cars in Turin. So I think that that'll wrap it up for today. If you are really into the travel content, if you're new here and you're like, wait, you also talk about horror movies and physical media, and that's not for you. I've also recently uploaded videos going to Lake Como and to Venice. Some videos of my trip to the UK are coming out soon too. So stick around for the travel. I also have a whole backlog of videos that I've shot from trips in the past that I finally want to get around to. I went to Edinburgh, Inverness, I went on the Harry Potter tour in London. All of that is coming out this year, so stick around. I've already given you the spiel on my other channel, but I also have a Patreon. You get a weekly bonus video over there too. All the rest of my social media is linked down below. Go crazy, have fun. More than anything, I just hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye!